All right, today we're talking about a brand that did something, well, impossible. It didn't just sell a product, it sparked a revolution right from the back of a bicycle, and it proved that a local underdog could actually take down a global giant.
I mean, it sounds like something out of a movie, right? But it's a completely true story, and it all boils down to this one huge question. How on earth did a simple homemade powder, sold by a guy on a bicycle, manage to dethrone a massive corporate empire?
So, where does a story like this even begin? Well, not in some fancy high-rise boardroom. Nope. It starts in the humble home of a chemist with a very, very personal mission.
Okay, just look at these numbers for a second, because this is where it gets wild. At the time, Hindustan Lever surf was the king, sitting at 13 rupees per kilo. Then, Nirma comes along at just 3.5 rupees. This wasn't a discount. This was a declaration of war.
And you know, behind this aggressive strategy was something incredibly personal. The founder, Karsanbhai Patel, actually named the brand after his daughter, Nirupama, who had tragically passed away. So for him, Nirma wasn't just a business, it was a promise. That emotional drive is what fueled his obsession to make it affordable for every single household in India.
And the beginning was about as grassroots as you can possibly get. He literally formulated the powder in his own home, gave it that meaningful name, and then got on his bicycle to sell it door to door, himself. That kind of direct connection builds a foundation of trust that no giant corporation could ever hope to replicate.
So, that door-to-door hustle, that was just the opening act. It was setting the stage for Nirma's main event, a full-blown price revolution that was about to turn the entire market on its head.
This number really says it all. 1/3. Nirma was selling for about 1/3 of what its main competitors was charging. This wasn't a small price cut. It was a seismic shift. It meant that detergent, once considered a premium item, was suddenly something millions of Indians could afford for the very first time.
Now, in the business world, there's a name for this. It's called penetration pricing. The idea is simple but super aggressive. You launch with a shockingly low price to grab as much market share as you can as fast as you can. And for Nirma, it worked like an absolute charm. So you can see how it all came together. Nirma's promise was perfectly tuned to its audience. It was affordable, it actually worked for the way people in India did their laundry, and it felt like their brand. Local, trusted, and definitely not some distant, expensive luxury.
But look, a great product and a killer price aren't always enough. Nirma cemented its place in history with one of the most powerful marketing tools ever created in India, its jingle.
I'm willing to bet that millions of people can hear that line and finish the entire tune in their head right now. This simple little jingle became a cultural phenomenon, instantly recognizable across the entire country.
And that was the genius of it. It wasn't just a catchy tune. It created instant brand recall, it built this deep emotional trust, and it perfectly aligned with the hopes of a rising India. It basically made advertising, and the product itself, feel democratic, like it was for everyone.
But this is where the story takes a sharp turn. The very thing that made Nirma a legend, its absolute focus on value and low price, eventually became its greatest weakness.
At its peak in the 90s, Nirma was an absolute juggernaut. It controlled a staggering 60% of the detergent market. 60%! It had won. It had dethroned the empire. But, as we all know, getting to the top is one thing. Staying there is a whole other story.
And then, the market started to change. The fight wasn't just about price anymore. Consumers started wanting more. Better fragrance, nicer packaging, a more premium feel. And on these new battlefields, Nirma was completely unprepared. And this right here gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Nirma was so strongly linked with the word economy that it couldn't convince its customers that it could also be premium. Its greatest strength, its own brand identity, had become a kind of cage.
Soon enough, the cracks started to show. New low-cost competitors were popping up. Consumer tastes were evolving. Nirma itself wasn't really innovating its product. And with rising costs squeezing its already thin margins, the original formula for success was starting to break down.
So what can we take away from this epic story? Well, the legacy of Nirma offers some incredibly powerful lessons for any brand, in any market, anywhere in the world.
First up, disrupting a market is an amazing achievement, but it is not a permanent victory. If you don't keep innovating and evolving, someone else is going to come along and disrupt you. The second big lesson is that you absolutely have to grow with your customers.
Nirma built its entire brand for a certain type of consumer, but as that consumer's income and aspirations changed, the brand failed to change right along with them.
And finally, while everybody remembers the jingle and the girl in the white frock, that nostalgia doesn't translate to sales. A beloved memory is a wonderful thing for a brand, but it can't be your main strategy for growth.
But hey, don't count Nirma out. This story doesn't end in failure. While it may have lost the detergent war, the company was smart enough to pivot. It diversified into other things like soaps and salt, and today it remains a highly profitable and powerful Indian company. The legend just found a new way to thrive.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The story of Nirma really forces us to ask, what is the bigger risk for a brand? Is it failing to win in the first place? Or is it failing to adapt and change after you've already reached the very top?